Well, anyone's entitled to call a by-election, anyone's entitled to resign. But what Nigel Farage has been so good at over the years is owning the frame, holding the frame, and be able to set the way we discuss things. You think about small boats, for example. He's one of the first people to talk about that in, what was it, 2018, 2019, and now it's something that lots of people care about. This is a rare example of a time where he's tried to set the frame. He said, look...
TalkTV thought it had the perfect defence for Nigel Farage's latest controversy, but this debate quickly went in another direction. What started as a simple political discussion turned into a tense clash over accountability, transparency, and whether the same rules apply to everyone. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now watch as Sebastian Salek challenges the arguments and puts Alex Phillips on the defensive.
What is your opinion on the fact that Rachel Reeves has moved the writ for there to be a by-election, says, yep, that's fine, we're going to allow that seat to be contested, but then all the parties saying we're not going to put anybody up for it. And this is coming in the wake of, you know, the games, the musical chairs that they've been playing in Makerfield.
Well, anyone's entitled to call a by-election, anyone's entitled to resign. But what Nigel Farage has been so good at over the years is owning the frame, holding the frame, and be able to set the way we discuss things. You think about small boats, for example. He's one of the first people to talk about that in, what was it, 2018, 2019, and now it's something that lots of people care about. This is a rare example of a time where he's tried to set the frame. He said, look, guys, if I win this by-election, then I'm absolved, he's essentially said. And the rest of the political community has said, no, we're not going to entertain that. We're not going to stand candidates. And that's how we find ourselves in this bizarre situation where it's Farage versus Binface.
But it's not really a good look, is it? I mean, the way that I see it, if an MP stands down for whatever reason, it triggers a democratic plebiscite. I think it's rather appalling for other parties to go, well, who cares about democracy? We're not going to allow the constituents of Clacton to have a genuine battle of political ideas. Is that not against the spirit of democracy?
Well, no, just as it wasn't against the spirit of democracy in 2019 when Brexit Party candidates stood aside for the Tories. You can't force a party to put up a candidate in an election. It's for anybody who wants to and meets the rules to do that. And sometimes parties choose not to. Most parties didn't field a candidate in every constituency in the last election. So you just have to let people throw their hat in the ring, and that is the field of candidates you have before you.
Let's talk now about more and more attacks on reform, about finances. Do you think that the people who are really pushing this agenda run the risk of it actually very much starting to look like a witch hunt? The more stories, the more headlines, the more targets, the more leaks, the more disclosures, that actually it ends up having the opposite effect. A bit like when there was a mugshot of Trump having been arrested, which actually concretised support for him. Do you think they risk, when they're pursuing all of these allegations and accusations and leaking it to the press that investigations taking place, that actually the reverse of what they hope to happen might come to pass?
Yeah, look, I think you make a fair point, because when you're dealing with someone like Farage, he's always going to try and concoct this idea that it's him versus the establishment. It's how he's framed that by-election. And certainly if he comes under more fire about his finances, it's how he's going to frame that as well. But just like everybody else in politics, he has to follow the rules. He's not exempt from that. You could make the same argument about the whole Mandelson saga, which was deeply shameful and deeply damaging for the Labour Party. But again, rules are rules and they must be followed. So I'd like to see the investigation carried out fairly, and I'd like to see any consequences play out as well. Well,
let's put this in our pipe and smoke it, shall we? Which is that Dale Vince now wants to bankroll Count Binface's fight against Farage, an Oxbridge-educated comedian who does bits of work for the BBC. I find it quite ridiculous and farcical and not exactly becoming and edifying to see all of these various politicians chortling this, because I think it's frankly taking the monkeys out of our democracy and out of voters. But this is an important point, OK? Dale Vince now wants to bankroll Binface. Well, Dale Vince has previously donated more than £5 million to Labour. Oh, look, it's that figure again, £5 million. And paid millions to Sadiq Khan. And then guess what happened as a result? That's right. His Ecotricity company has earned more than £3.5 million in government contracts. That That, to me, is disturbing. Why aren't we talking about that 5 million? Why are we all being led to focus on a £5 million that just went to Nigel Farage for security? This is a conflict of interest. This appears, at least on the surface, to mine eyes, to be essentially corruption at the extremely highest level.
Well, the big difference, of course, is that 5 million from Dale Vince was declared. It followed the rules. And if you're angry about that, you should be even angrier about the money that's gone into Nigel Farage's personal pocket. And we've then seen a crypto bill published. We've seen reform campaigning to lower taxes on crypto. And remember where that money came from. A crypto
This man got 3.5 million in contracts. 3.5 million.
5 million is a good investment for Christopher Harbour.
Oh,
if he gets
no. Let's talk about Dale Vince.
Vince.
Let's talk about Dale Vince. Gave 5 million, got 3.5 million back in government contracts. Does that not look like a cosy cartel at the top of the left wing of politics?
Well, answer me
Shouldn't
this.
voters ask questions?
What do you think Christopher Harbour wants?
No, we're talking about Dale Vince. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm making the comparison.
No, I'm asking you, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
I'm telling you that those donations weren't made. They were declared legally. And then you have to ask yourself, why do people donate? Some people want something for their money. Christopher Harbour wants something for his money. And I think it's very, very curious that we're not interrogating that further when it's plain for all to see.
Oh, we are. I think everybody's interrogating the Christopher Harbour donation. I hear nothing but the interrogation of the Christopher Harbour donation. It's been dominating headlines now for a couple of weeks. What isn't dominating headlines is this cosy little club at the top. This is taxpayers' money going back to that man.
Well, the definition of news is that it's new, and the allegations and the revelations here are new, which is why they're in the news. It's just slightly strange that you're trying to pivot this away and talk about.
That's not slightly strange. I think it'd be pretty hypocritical if we didn't also point out stories like this. And actually, quite frankly, the talk of George Cottrell and his relationship with Nigel Farage isn't new at all. That is archaeologically dug up to add sort of more weight to the impetus right now. And I'm sick to death. I'm sick to death of the hypocrisy of the political elite. I'm happy to watch anybody hung, drawn and quartered and cross-examined for impropriety, but I'm afraid that rule has to fit everybody. That rule has to fit sneering little Ed Davey for taking £275,000 of consultancy money from the lawyers defending the post office, having been post offices minister during the Horizon scandal. It has to accord to Dale Vince. It has to accord to the clients list that Lord Hermer and Sir Keir Starmer had.
Those donations were declared legally. Farage's weren't. There's a very big and important difference there.
And you think the general public are more worried about the declaration, are you?
I don't know.
He wasn't a politician at the time that Nigel Farage received money.
People following parliamentary laws and following the law of the land, and I'd like to see whether that's the case on both counts.
Well, good. That I agree with. I think we have to have a level playing field. We can't have two-tierism in politics, although I think very much
not at all, which is why we should be calling out undeclared donations.
Yeah, well, listen, let's talk now when it comes to two-tierism in politics. Oh, didn't they scream, didn't they cry out for a general election when the Conservative parties were the one faffing about playing musical chairs and parlour games rather than actually coming up with policy to help this nation? And then here we have it. We're going to have the auto-appointment of Andy Burnham as Prime Minister, a man who got 20,000 votes in Makerfield and now will apparently represent 70 million of us. That's a 0.03% slice of accountability. You'd need the blimmin' James Webb telescope to be able to spot that level of infinitesimally minute democracy. But we're beginning to learn the sort of direction of travel that our new leader may have. And it seems to me he wants to tear up the book when it comes to the treatment of Israel and go harder, further, darker and more dangerous than his predecessor.
I mean, that's such a bizarre framing, that 0.00 whatever you came up with.
0.03% of the population voted for Andy Burnham.
Every Prime Minister in modern times has been elected by a constituency and has then gone on to be chosen to be party leader by their party. That's just how electoral politics works. So you can't wheel that one out.
No. I'm sorry. You can. People voted for Starmer's Labour Party, not Burnham's vision of a Labour Party.
No.
It might not be the letter of the law, but it's the spirit of democracy.
We vote for our local MPs who then choose a leader.
Oh, but they all cried foul when the Conservatives kept changing leader. Why do they think that they are immune from such criticism?
Well, I warned against this. I didn't think it was the right thing.
So there you have it. This debate showed just how quickly political arguments can change when they are challenged with direct questions and careful comparisons. Both sides presented their views, But the discussion ultimately focused on bigger issues: transparency, accountability, and whether political standards should be applied consistently across the board. From declared donations to concerns about financial interests, the exchange highlighted why trust in politics often depends on whether people believe the same rules are being followed by everyone. Whether you found Sebastian Salik's arguments more convincing or agreed with Alex Phillips' defense, the final decision rests with the public. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next video. See you in the next one.